I was in Ezekiel 8, and I just wanted to share something that really struck me. Ezekiel was sitting in his house with the elders of Judah, and the Spirit of God came and lifted him up between heaven and earth, where he could see over Jerusalem, the holy city. And God was speaking to him about what he saw. And what he saw was that there were idols, and God calls it images of jealousy, that were in the gates. And then he brought him to the door of the court, where he saw the same thing. And then God told him to dig into the wall where there was a door. And he saw, when he opened the door, there were all these images that were contrary to God, that were contrary to worshiping God. And then finally, he showed him the inner court where there were images set up. And what really struck me here was that it's the same thing for us today. That when we, turn to other things, our eye gates are the first thing where we align ourselves with idols and things, where we make things more important to us than God. And then it's progressive, where it starts at the gate, but then the door of the court would be like the door of our heart, right? So the door of our heart, we have this thing that's trying to get into our heart, to take our heart away from loving God to this other thing. And then he told him, dig into the wall. Well, if we dig a little deeper into the heart, it's starting to get in there. And we can see that there's a progression where it starts to get into our heart. And the Israelites were saying, for they say, God doesn't see us, the Lord has forsaken the land. Well, when they were saying that, the final progression is that the idol was in the inner court. And we are the temple of God, where he is the one that is to be center, first and foremost, in our heart. He is to be our first love. And so when I saw that there was this progression that God was showing Ezekiel, it's the same for us, that there may be times when, just like the Israelites, they said, well, God doesn't see us, he's forsaken the land. Maybe there's times where you felt like God wasn't answering your prayers, or you had disappointment and you felt like God didn't see you anymore. So you think that, so with that, believing that lie, you're turning to things that are of the world to satisfy, because you feel like God doesn't see you and that he has forsaken the land, your life. And it's not true, it's a lie. And how many times do we do this? Like, we think that God has turned away from us, but it's really us that has turned away from him. We stop believing, we stop having faith that he loves us, that he's the provider. We stop trusting him. So this is an exhortation this morning to come back, to return to the Lord, to give him a chance to believe and trust in him, that he does have your back. He gave you his only son. He gave you the darling of heaven for your life, because he loves you so much. And prayers get hung up in the spiritual realm. This has been described in Daniel. When Daniel was praying, his prayer was answered from day one. And it took a long time, because the angel Gabriel said he alone was fighting this principality, this prince of Persia, who was in the spiritual realm, a prince that was holding up the answer to the prayer. And so we need to trust God. We need to persevere. We need to be patient and just not give up on doing the good thing, because we will receive the reward. Hebrews 10 said, just, keep on believing the promise, for you have need of patience that you'll receive the reward. And that's totally a paraphrase, but you can look it up in Hebrews 10. But so this is just a commission for us in the church today to begin to give up to God the disappointment, give up the bitterness, give up where we felt let down and we turned away from God to the things of this world, because we didn't believe anymore about his love or his promises. It's all a lie, guys, and we need to be really innocent as doves, but sharp and wise as serpents in this time, to understand what the spiritual realm is doing and the lies. We don't want to believe it. We want to trust God, and he is trustworthy. We can count on him. So I just bless you all that you are just having a blessed time with God, and just allowing him to tenderly care for your heart and uproot these things that have not been good for you.